المجلة.
أسبوع جديد وموسم جديد مع الماجازين الأسبوعي المجلة وآخر النشاطات الثقافية الفنية والاجتماعية بالولايات المتحدة. أبرز صفحات عدد اليوم: مقابلة مع المخرج ألبرت مايزلز، التصوير بعيون المرأة السعودية، معرض تصويري، نبدأ حلقتنا بمقابلة مع المخرج ألبرت مايزلز، مبتكر أسلوب الدايركت سينما أي السينما المباشرة، وهو مصطلح أطلقه مايزلز على نوع الأفلام اللي بدأ بإخراجها مع أخوه ديفيد بداية الستينات. بيتميز هذا الأسلوب من الأفلام بتصوير يوميات بعض الأشخاص بجميع مراحلها، من الأوقات السعيدة إلى الحزينة والعصيبة، من دون أي تدخل من قبل المخرج على سير الأحداث. التصوير كناية عن متابعة موضوعية من خلال اللقطات الطويلة من دون استخدام المونتاج أو التوليف، عدم التعليق على الأحداث، وحتى عدم استخدام الموسيقى. صور الأخوين مايزلز أكثر من 65 فيلم وثائقي، وبعد وفاة ديفيد عام 1987 ما زال ألبرت بيتبع نفس الأسلوب. نستعرض بعض الأفلام اللي أخرجها.
To go in, it's here now.
Yeah.
Well, won't that go in there?
I'm trying it. Can't you see I'm trying it? Could you hold that up, Brian?
It's only a couple more things to go in. Can you put it? Can you get it?
Yeah, I've plenty of room in here. Okay. Okay. That's it. Good evening, viewers. How are you today?
Well, go in the morning, John and I get to bed at 8 o'clock. Coming home and back again. There he comes, Albert singing guitar blues. They're here! Count it off, fellas. 1, 2, 3, 4! Well, she was just 17, you know what I mean. And the way she looked was way beyond compare. So how could I dance with another?
Tomorrow night at 7, the Beatles read their own poetry on a documentary, Meet the Beatles.
Oh,
They're all over the world.
Oh, really?
One full hour with
I
the
don't
Beatles.
understand this.
Tomorrow night from 7 to 8, here it wins. Don't.
We ain't written no
Looking
poetry.
for a filter cigarette.
3 in a row without commercial interruption. Here's what's happening, baby. The Beatles! You think you've lost your love? Well, I thought...
They're hanging in there.
Yeah, they're swinging fellas.
They put some ice cubes in their pocket. They're staying cool by it.
Yeah.
They're what's happening, Paul. I'll tell you, they're happening. They're happening big.
Moscow. Moscow on a late afternoon in summer. There is no doubt that Dr. Kasaya is effective and sympathetic as a doctor with a heart. The Russians have a long history of humane treatment for mental patients, a custom which started long before the Bolshevik Revolution.
Take a story like that to see if it'll work. All I know is how it ends and how it begins. Because we've been cranking along in movies too long the same way. You know, it's the most old-fashioned business on earth. The bullfight is a tragedy in 3 acts. And these noble creatures who are waiting for their death this afternoon are the heroes of that tragedy. This is a picture about the love of death.
ساهم ألبرت مايزلز بتطوير الأسلوب الواقعي فأصبح شخصية محورية بتاريخ السينما المباشرة. أفلامه دفعت جان لوك غودار أحد أكثر النقاد ومخرجي الأفلام شهرة إلى إطلاق لقب أفضل مصور سينمائي على مايزلز. دايركت سينما اللي ابتكره مايزلز كان تمهيد لظاهرة رياليتي تي في اللي منشاهدها على شاشات التلفزيون حالياً. نتعرف أكثر على بداياته وأشهر أفلامه بهاللقاء الخاص.
I hope so, really. It would be incredible. Imagine that.
Imagine that if Chirac say yes.
In a New York hotel, Marlon Brando agreed to meet with television reporters from across the country.
I gave up that type of life. Wasn't good enough. She left me, you know.
I think that my contribution has been to make movies in such a way that I so thoroughly respect and empathize with people that I get very deeply into their hearts and minds. I'm confident that I can tell the truth and get close to that person's heart without hurting them. And in fact, by paying attention to who they really are, it's the greatest compliment I think you can give a person.
Did you see the play on Broadway? No, T for two and two for T and me for you and you for me. Hello?
Well, I began life as a psychologist and worked in mental hospitals, taught for several years at Boston University, taught psychology. And when I was 28, I thought it would be interesting to go to Russia. That was since 1955, only 2 years after Stalin's death. And I thought, oh my goodness, I can go there. Why don't I look into something I knew something about? So I managed to borrow a movie camera with the intention of getting into mental hospitals. And I made my first film in mental hospitals in Russia. Not every documentarist follows this kind of rule of not taking sides, of leaving things open for the viewer to decide what is right or wrong or whatever, and supplying information that's unprejudiced. That goes along with any social science. And being a psychologist, I think, helped me to be that objective.
The bestseller in the world is the Bible, for one reason. It's the greatest piece of literature of all times. It's really tremendous, isn't it? The Bible runs as little as $49.95, and we have 3 plans on it. Cash, COD, and also they have a little Catholic honor plan.
Which plan would be the best for you, the A, B, or C?
We need more films that tell us how to get peace, how to negotiate with one another, how to deal with violence, and how not to be violent. I filmed a very poor black family in the South, and there's a moment where Grandma, who's the main character of the film, turns to her little grandson, maybe 8 or 9 years old, and asks him, what do you want to be when you grow up? And with a big smile on his face, he says, I want to be in prison. When you watch that and hear that, think, oh my goodness, all of his models, his father and uncles and so forth, and family friends, the males, so many of them are in jail. And he doesn't have the opportunity to know anything other than that. I'm trying to give people an understanding of what's going on in the world around us. You have to have the conviction that you can get something that's authentic and truthful in order to get it. And getting that sort of thing, then we call it direct cinema.
Carol, your test is positive. Okay, would you like to talk with one of our counselors, Carol?
My portraits are so strong, you go directly into the lives of people and film their experience. It's people experiencing things that is the subject matter. I think attention is paid when there's something that people can identify with. If it's a very poor family, then film the poverty as it expresses itself.
Well, each one of us, she had a rough time raising us. And people say, well, why did your mama have so many kids?
People, in looking at the films, feel that they are in the shoes of the people in that film. They feel exactly what it is to go through whatever it is these people are experiencing. That's my way of making a better world.
I know where to go. Oh, Mommy. Beautiful. My Jason. Oh, Mommy. No. Tell me she doesn't look like me. I wouldn't recognize her. 20 years, look at her. 22.
20 years
22
later,
years
mother
since
and
I've seen
daughter.
her.
I'm excited about it. I think it's all going to work out as a great reunion.
تم تكريم ألبرت مايزلز بالمهرجان الدولي للأفلام الوثائقية سيلفر دوغز، فكانت جائزة تشارلز غوغنهايم لأبرز مخرجي ومنتجي الأفلام الوثائقية من نصيبه على مساهماته على مر السنين بحقل الفن السابع.
Every year we do honor a major filmmaker who's contributed to documentary, and Albert Maysles has been making films for over 5 decades. He's made 35 documentaries. He's also been a cinematographer on 64 documentaries, and when you think about some of the most influential and important documentaries ever made, you're often thinking about work by Albert Maysles, things like Way Gardens, Give Me Shelter, Running Fence, Salesman. So he has just had such a huge influence on so many future generations of filmmakers and has contributed so much to the genre.
التصوير بعين المرأة السعودية، إنما بعد الفاصل خليكن معنا.
المجلة.
أهلا بكم من جديد. التصوير بعيون المرأة السعودية عنوان معرض أقيم بالسفارة السعودية بواشنطن بمناسبة صدور كتاب المصورة رانيا عبد الرزاق واللي بيحمل نفس العنوان. جمعت عبد الرزاق ضمن هالكتاب أعمالها إلى جانب صور التقطتها عدسة 30 مصورة سعودية بين محترفات وهواة بهدف إبراز الجانب الثقافي والفني للمرأة السعودية عبر التصوير الفوتوغرافي. شغف رانيا بالتصوير بدأ عن عمر مبكر، وبالوقت اللي أصبح المجتمع السعودي أكثر تقبلاً لفن التصوير، هدفت عبد الرزاق من خلال هالكتاب تغيير نظرة المجتمع الغربي للمرأة السعودية.
My own aesthetic, I'm always evolving. So I started liking a lot of photojournalism images, and I still like that, but I also like now more of landscape and nature. So I think my newer work is gonna have more landscape and nature and some abstract images, which I have also here in the exhibit. I'm kind of attached a little bit to the old because I grew up in the States, so going to Saudi and wanting to see more of the culture, I tend to photograph that. Whereas the younger generation in Saudi, they're more into the modernization and their images. So I combine both together, and I feel that there is the old culture and the new combined together. I was starting a journal of my experiences as a Saudi photographer, and then it got developed into a book. 3 years later, I managed to get other Saudi women photographers involved and include them into the book. And there was over 200 images that we select, and I thought a lot of them were really well done. And from there, we launched an exhibition in Saudi in April, and in promoting kind of the book, and it's written in English because we want the Westerners to know more about Saudi women and their talents. We have some professionals that have been photographing for about 30 years and 15 years, and then we have just students who graduated 2 years ago and are doing photography as more into the fine art. Photographer Rania Jamjoom, she did like the night going out, the girl getting dressed up, and it was a photo essay, how all the glamour. So she calls the image glamorous, and it's the woman is cropped from above the shoulders, and then you just see her arms and legs, and she's holding getting her bag off the side of her bed, and she had a whole series of that, and I found that very interesting. Well, this exhibit from after the US will be going to Dubai to exhibit in February 2011. And we're hoping later maybe in London, Canada, or anywhere else, we'll try that. And after that, since the men are really interested in also being involved in our photography exhibition, we're going to do a joint effort of Saudi men and women. I think the connection is through images. They can understand more, see what I say, a different representation of Saudi women of Saudi Arabia and their talents. Not just seeing the plain desert images and the camels and this, even though that I love those images more than anything. But a lot of the Saudi people themselves are like, hey, this is not all of Saudi Arabia. There's more to it, and that's where more images are produced now, and we want to do more exposure of that so people get to see a newer Saudi Arabia.
مشاهدينا، الوقت المخصص للبرنامج انتهى. لمعلومات أكثر عن المجلة تابعوني على جروب المجلة شو على الفيسبوك. بنهاية حلقة اليوم بشكر فريق العمل باستديوهات الحرة واشنطن دي سي، وبالأخص بير جاد. لملاحظاتكم واقتراحاتكم راسلوني على ايميل البرنامج المجلة@الحرة.com، وأنا بلاقيكم الأسبوع القادم، وأكيد رح تكونوا على الموعد.
المجلة.